Hello everyone, welcome to part 2 of the X-Wing Fighter tutorial. Be sure to check out part 1 if you haven't already, as you will need to complete the fuselage before commencing with this part of the tutorial. If you are new to the channel, I invite you to join the crew and support the Imagination Ship by hitting like, subscribe, and the notification bell. It's a free way you can help support the channel as well as be notified when new content is delivered by the Imagination Ship. Now, welcome aboard, and if you find this tutorial helpful, please let me know by leaving a comment below. Now, let's get started by building the wings, engines, and laser cannons of the X-Wing fighter from the Star Wars Saga. So, fuselage looks nice and neat and everything, and it's also titled fuselage. So what we're going to do right now is let's go ahead and turn off selectability on it, as well as, well, actually no, for the time being, let's look down our Z-axis. So we're going to start building out the wings. So what we're going to do first is, let's see here. Okay. All right. So, okay, we're going to build out the geometry of the wings. So first thing we're going to do is make sure you're still within the collection for the X-Wing. We're going to hit Shift A. We're going to hit Shift A, Mesh, Plane, hit G, bring up the y-axis. Let's see real quick. Let's make sure we're still on global. We're still on median point. That's what we need to be right now. Let's hit Alt Z, go into X-ray mode. S to scale, bring this down. Just kind of line it up as best we can for the wings. S to scale, X-axis. Actually, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go ahead. Let's hit Tab, go in Edit mode, hit 1, go to Vertices mode, select these vertices here, G, Y-axis. Just bring that up there. You know what, actually what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead, let's see, Control R, select, set a line right there along the Y-axis. And actually what we're going to do is we're going to hit Control B, just bring this out a bit. Hit 3, go into faces mode, and delete all those. And so we got this face here. We're going to go ahead and go to 2, hit 2 to go to line, or hit 2 to go to edges mode. Hit extrude, X-axis. Let's look down our Y-axis so we make sure. Let's see, 1 to go to edges mode so we can see our vertices. That's actually just about perfect. I lined that up just almost perfect. Hit G-axis, X-axis, bring it out just a little bit more. Okay, so, yep, that's our wing. Looking great, huh? Yeah, no, it's not. Look down the Z-axis. Go ahead and bring this vertice down on the Y-axis. Line it up as best you can. Now what we're going to do is we're going to hit Control R, bring this up to about here, where it just kind of lines up on this edge right here. Hit 3, go to faces mode, delete that face there. Okay, so now we need to start kind of defining the shape of the wings a bit, but first thing we're going to do is we're going to hit 3, go to faces mode, select these faces, look down our y-axis, hit G, z-axis, just bring this up a bit to where it lines up on this line as best you can. Alright, still with the faces selected in faces mode and edit mode and everything, let's hit E to extrude, bring it up a bit, automatically going on the z-axis. Okay, so it's starting to look more like an X-Wing wing. Let's go back to our Y-axis. Actually, let's look down our Z-axis. What we're going to do is we're going to start defining some of the little details here. We're going to hit Control R, make sure it's running along the wing. Let's just slide up there where this, make sure this lines up with this object right here. If you don't, the sky will fall. Hit Control R, just hit Escape. S to scale, Y-axis, 0. Hit G, Y-axis. Now Control R, line this up as best you can. 1, go to vertices mode, make sure you're still in X-ray mode. Hit G, Y-axis. Oops, nope. Forgot we need to make a cut right here. Select these vertices here, hit G, Y-axis. And let's look down our y-axis because we need to find more of the shape of the wing. Let's say Control R right about here. And again here. Okay. Going to select. Got a series of faces. We're going to select. Let's see. We need this face here. And here we're going to deselect this one. So if we look down the Z-axis, this is kind of what you should have, the configuration you should have. And remember, just, if you need to stop and, evaluate what you're doing, guys, go ahead. Remember, this is not a race or anything. You'll develop speed and time as you get better. So, and I mean, remember, you're watching my process and how to do this. I mean, you may figure out how to do it on your own. Some of you guys may have already taken off and just started, building this stuff yourself based off of what you've learned from this or other tutorials. But, remember, guys, try to get, discouraged or anything. Just keep following along. And if you need to pause it, just go ahead and pause it. Okay, so now we've got these faces selected. We're going to look down our Y-axis, Alt-Z, go back into X-ray mode. We're going to hit E to extrude, bring this up just a little bit. Now we need to deselect some faces. So what we're going to do is we're going to Alt-Z, going to deselect this face right here, just this face right here. Look back down the Y-axis, Alt-Z, back to X-ray mode. E to extrude, bring this up. And then in vertices mode, we need to, actually let's Alt-Z. What we need to do is hit 3 to go to faces mode. We're going to select this face here and this face here. And just these two faces here. Look back down the Y-axis, Alt-Z, hit G, Z-axis, bring this up. We're going to hit 1 to go into vertices mode. We're going to select these vertices here, hit G, just move them over. We'll move these over too. Alt-Z. Okay, so we've kind of defined the shape of the wing itself, but we need to add the engines, of course, because X-Wing's not going to go anywhere without engines. Okay, so for right now, I'm going to rename this to Wing, and I'm going to make it unselectable. Actually, I'm just going to go ahead and turn it off entirely along with the fuselage. I'm going to look down our Y-axis, hit Alt-Z, and let's see, we needed to turn our front back on and turn the back off, because we need to build these engines out. So we're going to hit, let's just kind of zoom out here, hit Shift-A, Mesh, Cylinder. Look down our X-axis, rotate, X-axis. Remember, that's R to rotate on the X-axis. Look down our Y-axis, S to scale it, hit G, bring it over, S to scale. Just kind of center it as best you can. Now this is going to get just a little tricky, but bear with me, guys. Hit G, Y-axis, S to scale, Y-axis. Okay, look back down the Y-axis. Okay, so let's see. Hit 3, go into faces mode, Alt-Z, turn off X-ray mode. And what we need to do is let's go ahead and change to individual origins. I select this face and this face here. We're going to do, actually no, what we want to do first is we're going to hit 1 to go to vertices mode, and we're going to select this vertex here, and we select the one directly below it, and hit J. So make sure we did a perfect split down the middle. We did. And we're going to do the same on this end. Select this vertex here and this one here. Hit J. Do a perfect split. And we're going to select these two. Let's just go ahead and look down the Y-axis. Oops. Other Y-axis. Okay, those look good. Split. And, just kind of looking at these, you can see down here. Okay, you're going to see why we're doing this here in a minute. What we're going to do is we're going to hit 2 to go to edges mode. We're going to hold Alt here and Alt here. So we select, when we hold Alt and select, it selects a perfect, selects this basically as a ring selection. Okay, so with these ring selections set and everything, what we're going to do real quick is we're going to hit 3 to select phases. We're going to select these phases here and these faces here. And we're going to do heat extrude as to scale, just bring them in just a little bit. And then just with the front portion selected, not the back, just the front portion, we're going to look down the y-axis, Alt-Z, heat extrude as to scale. Bring us in where it lines up with this circle here. Now what we're going to do, Alt-Z, hit 2, and we're going to hold Alt and click here, and hold Alt and Shift, select here, so we do a ring selection. So, these cuts that we made, make sure that they're all selected and everything. And then what we're going to do is look back down our y-axis, Alt-Z, we're going to hit Control-B, bring these out a bit. Okay, Alt-Z. Now it's going to get just a little tricky, but you guys can do this, no big deal. We're going to do, let's see, what are we going to do? We're going to hit 3, go into Faces mode, just click randomly just to deselect everything. We're going to hold Alt and click to this line here to select this circle here. And then we're going to hold Shift. Actually, let go of Alt, hold Shift, select this circle here. Select this, and here, and here. We're going to do heat extrude, bring this out just a bit. Now we're going to deselect, hold Control, deselect these bars here. And then we're going to heat extrude out again. And then we're going to deselect this, hold Control to deselect that. And we're going to deselect everything below here. And heat extrude, bring this out again. Okay, so our engine is starting to take on some shape here. Let's go back to the front here. Hit 3, go to Faces mode. Select these faces here. We're going to look down the y-axis, Alt-Z. Heat extrude as to scale. Alt-Z. Heat extrude, bring it out. And we're just going to do kind of a recess. So actually, let's tab, go to edit mode, select these faces here. If you're in, make sure you hit 3 to be in Faces mode. We're going to heat extrude, bring this in just a bit. Okay, looking pretty good. And look down our Z-axis, Alt-Z. We're going to hit tab, make sure back in edit mode. Hit Control-R. Let's do 2 cuts by rolling the mouse wheel. As to scale, y-axis. Oops. We need to switch back to median point. Now let's try that again. S scale, y-axis. Okay, just line these up as best you can. Actually, let's just take the whole engine. Let's hit tab out of edit mode. G, y-axis, just scoot it down a bit. Tell you what, I'm just gonna S to scale, y-axis, crush it a little bit. Hit 1. I mean, these don't have to be exactly perfect, but sometimes I'm a perfectionist. Okay, so let's make sure these 2 loop cuts are selected. Look back down our Z-axis, hit Control-B. Okay, and then we're just going to do Control-R up to here. And we've already got this here, so we're going to hit 3, go to Faces mode, select these, all 3 of these. Okay, we're looking good. And then let's go back to individual origins. We're going to do heat extrude, escape, S to scale. Bring these out a bit. Look down our Z-axis, S to scale, Y-axis. Looking pretty good. And if you want to, if you feel so inclined, let's just hit 1, go to Vertices mode. We're going to select all these here, make sure you're still in X-ray mode. S to scale, actually we need to make sure we're back in median point. S to scale, y-axis, 0. Same thing here, S to scale, y-axis, 0. 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 And same thing here, S to scale, y-axis, 0. Okay, getting some nice detail on the engines. Tell you what, let's go ahead and set shade smooth. Looks terrible, of course. Auto smooth. Looking pretty good. Okay, so that's the front part of the engines. Now we need to do the back part of the engines. So we're going to, actually, nope, we're going to go ahead and just create another cylinder. We're going to Shift A, go to cylinder, look down our x-axis, rotate, x-axis. Bring this back here, just scale it down. As to scale it just a bit. G, y-axis, as to scale, y-axis. Go back down our z-axis, G, bring it over on the x-axis. Okay, hit tab, phases mode, alt Z. Let's go ahead and make sure, actually let's turn off X-ray mode. Let's just select this face here that's facing into the back of the front of the engine. Look back down our z-axis, extrude, bring this out, S to scale it. And then we're gonna do it, we're gonna extrude S to scale, just kind of do a little inset face. And then we're just gonna, actually we're gonna scale it down just a little bit more. And then extrude, just kind of let it run to the back of that part there. Then let's select this face here on the back. Look down our z-axis, hit G, y-axis, just line this up as nice and neat as you can. Extrude, S to scale, bring it out. Extrude, S to scale, extrude. Extrude, S to scale, extrude. These are getting a little big. The reference planes, I think, are just a little exaggerated, so we're going to be a little careful here. We're going to extrude, S to scale, bring this in a bit. Z-axis, extrude, S to scale. I'll tell you, we're going to select these, hit 2, go to edges mode, select this line here, but let's hold Alt, so we select all these in a circle. We're going to bring this in just a little bit more. We hit 3, go to faces mode, hold Alt, select this line here, so we select all these faces. And then what we're going to do is want to make sure we select individual origins and we select normals. We're going to do I to inset and make sure you're doing individual insets, not like this. This is not what we want. We want individual insets. Okay, so we got individual insets all the way around here. And then we're going to do, let's see, we're going to hit G, Z axis. And we're going to bring these out. Notice how they're all coming out. Okay. And then we're going to select this face here. You extrude S to scale. And we're just going to bring this in a little bit. We're going to look down our y-axis. Let's see. Let's turn the front off. Turn the back on. Alt Z. Tell you what, let's hit Y again to see if we can see a little better here. Let's see, we're not quite lined up with the art on the reference plane, so let's just kind of line this up a bit. Just for reference purposes, we may need to fix it later. Okay, so as you can see, we have the center part of the engine selected right now. Okay, back into X-ray mode. We're going to extrude S to scale, bring this all the way in. And then what we're going to do is, turning off X-ray mode, we're going to go back to here. We're going to do extrude, just bring this out. Extrude again, S to scale. I'll tell you what, we're going to bevel this edge and we're just going to kind of roll the mouse a couple of times. Actually, no, let's not do that. We have this kind of coned out here. We're going to hit 2, go to edges mode, select this, holding Alt. And then we're going to do Control B. And then we have our engine. Let's look back down the Z-axis. Let's say Shade Smooth. Click Auto Smooth. Hit G, Z-axis. Just kind of line these up as best we can. Okay, so if we turn our wing back on, so we've got our wing here. Yeah, our engines, the back of the engines look a little silly, so I think I'm just going to scale it down a bit. look down our x-axis, hit G, make sure we're moving on the z-axis. Let's go ahead and turn our normals off, back to global. Hit G, y-axis, let's just kind of line this up a bit. Hit tab, hit 1 for vertices, select these. Hit G, y-axis, bring this in. Okay. Looking pretty good. Okay, now we need to add the lasers on the sides. Or freaking lasers, as Dr. Evil would say. Okay, so let's add our lasers. Actually, first, let's keep naming our geometries. So I'm going to rename this to engine front. And then I'm going to name this engine rear. I mean, it could be engine exhaust, but whatever. Okay, so let's go and select all these items. Let's just turn them off. Let's turn off, actually the wing. Let's go ahead and turn the wing off. And let's see, let's go ahead and add another cylinder, but this time we don't need as much detail. So let's go, so you go cylinder, and before you do anything, go to add cylinder right here. And let's change it to 16 vertices instead of 32. Okay, look down our x-axis, rotate this, x-axis, S to scale, bring it down, hit G. Let's just kind of bring it up here, S to scale it, S to scale, y-axis. Okay, hit tab to go into edit mode, hit 3 to go to faces mode, select this face here. We're just going to kind of inset a bit, scale it, S to scale. Look down our x-axis, E to extrude. We're going to do E to extrude, S to scale. Bring it in just a bit. Look down the x-axis again. E to extrude, S to scale. You can see it there. E to extrude, bring it out. E to extrude, X to scale. E to extrude. Okay, that's done. Let's Alt-Tab, go into X-ray mode, select these faces. Make sure the face is on the front here. Back down to x-axis, E to extrude, S to scale, E to extrude, E to extrude, S to scale, E to extrude, E to extrude, X to scale, E to extrude, E to extrude, S to scale, and then E to extrude, S to scale, bring this all the way down. Let's go ahead and go to vertices mode just so we can, wow, we're going too far. Okay. Okay, hit 3, go to faces mode, E to extrude. Now we're going to bring this all the way out here, G, x-axis, E to extrude, S to scale. I'm kind of wondering if the X-Wing's cannons were made from like German tanks from World War II, like the some sort of World War II or something tanks, because there's no fume extractor or anything like that. Sorry, I need to quit talking. Okay, we're gonna E to extrude, S to scale just from the side view here. Look down the x-axis, E to extrude, bring it out. Just line it up as best you can. E to extrude, bring this out, S to scale, E to extrude, E to extrude, S to scale. Let's go to vertices mode, S to scale. Okay, hit 3 to go to faces mode. Just kind of looking at the front here, see what we got going on. X-axis, E to extrude, bring it out. Okay, so now we need to add this little part here, and I think what we're going to do is, I think I'm just going to make another cylinder, and what I'm going to do is going to hit Shift A, add cylinder, and we're actually going to look down the y-axis, and we're going to rotate it on the y-axis. Going to hit G, x-axis, bring it over, S to scale. Just kind of bring it up here, Alt-Z, X-ray mode, S to scale, y-axis. Just kind of line up as best you can. S to scale, y-axis, hit G. Looking pretty good. Now what we're going to do is S to scale, x-axis, hit tab. Make sure we're in vertices mode by hitting 1. I'm going to select this side of the vertices. These two vertices, hit J to cut across. Select this vertice here, hit J to cut across. And then hit 3, go to faces mode, look down the x-axis, Alt-Z, select these faces. Actually, first thing we're going to do, let's select, tell you what, I'm going to select these faces here, and make sure that we have individual origins on. Look down the x-axis, hit extrude as to scale. Let's make sure we're in X-ray mode so we can see what we're doing. As to scale. Let's go ahead and S to scale on the y-axis a bit. Just line this up a bit better. Okay, look down the x-axis. Make sure we're still looking down the x-axis. Hit 3 to go to faces mode. Alt-Z. Select those in the front. Delete. So we're going to select these faces here and delete. Okay, hit 2 to go to edges mode. Select this edge here. Just kind of select these edges while holding Alt and Shift. Let's make sure and turn on our magnet. Hit extrude x-axis. Make them snap over here. Hit 1. Hit A to select all vertices. Hit M to merge by distance. That should connect all those vertices. Hit actually make sure we're still in edit mode. Hit 3. Actually no, hit 2 to go to edges mode. Select this edge here, F to fill that. Same here, select these two edges, F to fill it. And we're just going to kind of scale this thing down a bit. S to scale, Z-axis, hit G, Y-axis, bring it in a bit. You line it up a bit better, hit G. Okay. All right, so we have our laser cannon. We didn't need to do all that fancy stuff. I was going to do it one way, but I just figured that was going to be just a little too complicated. So remember, everything doesn't have to be one solid object. It makes it a little easier sometimes. But remember, unless you're making it for a game, sometimes certain things, specify. But for the purposes of what we're doing right now, we're just keeping everything as separate objects. And you can join them together if you want to, or merge everything, or you can add detail however you want. But for this case, for what we're doing right now, we don't have to necessarily do that. So I'm going to select this little shape right here, select the laser cannon. Going to go ahead and hit Control P to parent it to it. So if I select the laser cannon, move it around, they stay together. Now what we're going to do is this is where it's going to start getting fun. I'm going to select this, change it to laser cannon. Now we need to start turning our objects back on. So we've got our X-wing cockpit, or I'm sorry, we have the X-wing fuselage, we have the wings. So let's make sure everything is selectable. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the laser cannon, select the wing. Actually, I'm going to select the laser cannon, the parts of the engine, and then select the wing. I'm going to hit Control P to parent it. So everything is, all these are attached to this, to the wing. And then what we need to do is we need to select the wing, and let's make sure and right click on the wing and do select hierarchy. And then what we need to do is we need to hit Shift D. That makes a perfect copy of the wing. If you hit G and move it around, you can see that it's all together there. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to right click and we're going to do mirror, and we're going to do X global. As you can see, we have a perfect copy of all these objects here. Okay, so now we have a perfect copy on top. So what we're going to do is we're going to select these two wings. Actually, we're going to select this wing again. We're going to select hierarchy, and we're going to select this wing, select hierarchy. Actually, no, it's not going to work either. We're going to select this wing again, select hierarchy, and we're going to do Shift D, and then we're going to do mirror Z global. Now, if we look down our y-axis, we just need to make sure we line this up just a bit better. Okay, so with this bottom wing selected, make sure you just select the wing on the bottom. We're going to right click and do select hierarchy. And we're going to do Shift D again, right click, and we're going to do X global. And we have an X-Wing. Looking pretty good. Hopefully you guys have kept up so far. Hopefully you're enjoying the tutorial. We still got a little bit more work to do here. But I mean, as you can see right now, guys, we're doing pretty well. We have a nice X-Wing here. The only thing is we need to make sure these wings work the way they're supposed to. Like if we, if this wing is selected and we hit R and rotate, then it rotates perfectly, which it looks like it does. But what we want to do is, we're going to take this bottom wing. We're going to select this bottom wing here, just the wing itself. Hold Shift, select this wing, and we're going to hit Control P to parent it. So that whenever we select this one here, we're going to hit R to rotate, Y-axis. They rotate together. This will make it a little easier for if you're wanting to animate the S-Falls opening for attack position. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to select this bottom wing here and select this wing. We're going to hit Control P and parent. So we'll select this wing and hit rotate Y-axis. Again, rotates it correctly. So now if we look down the Y-axis and let's go ahead and turn our planes off for the moment. So if we select this wing here and rotate on the Y-axis, bring it up. And then same thing here, select this wing, rotate Y-axis, bring it up. Then we have an X-Wing in attack position, or attack mode, whatever you want to call it. I forget what they say. In episode 4, they say lock S-Falls in attack position. So yeah, pretty cool, guys. So we're going to select this wing, and let's go ahead and reset them back. Hit R to rotate, Y-axis, hold Control. Same thing with this one. Hit R, rotate, Y-axis, hold Control, so it snaps back into place. Okay, so an X-Wing would not be an X-Wing without an astromech droid, so we're going to make an astromech droid pretty quickly here. But first thing we're going to do is we're going to select the fuselage. Let's go ahead, and on our wings, we're going to deselect the arrow so we don't have to worry about actually selecting anything. Actually, I can still select that one. I'll tell you what, we're just going to turn them off entirely. Well, that's not going to work either. Okay, so we're going to select the fuselage, and what we're going to do is hit Z to look down the Z-axis. Let's go ahead and turn our planes back on. Hit Alt-Z. Now you can kind of see where the astromech droid is supposed to go. But what we need to do is we need to Alt-Z back out of edit mode, or out of X-ray mode. Hit Tab to go in edit mode, and hit 3 to select this recessed area. Let's select all these faces here. And I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and hit G to bring it down quite a bit on the Z-axis. Whoops, we need to make sure and turn our magnet off. We're just going to recess this just a little bit. Make sure it isn't overlapping where the wings go through. Just a little bit. And then what we're going to do is, with these faces still selected, we're going to do Shift D. That's going to make a copy of them. We're going to hit P to separate. So now we have a little area that we've copied. We're just going to bring it up here. As you can see, it's separate from the geometry of the fuselage. This is just basically a panel for the area where the astromech droid sits. And what we need to do is look down the Z-axis, hit Alt-Z, hit Tab, go to edit mode. And I'll tell you what, we're just going to hit 1 to go to vertices mode. We're going to select these vertices, hit G. Let's just bring them all down here where the astromech droid is. Just try to follow along here, guys. What we're just basically doing is making a little place for the astromech droid to sit. We're going to hit Control R, cut that there, and same here. And let's see, let's go ahead and just bring these down a bit on the Y-axis, hitting G, Y-axis. We're going to make another cut here, Control R, Control R. We're going to hit Control R again, running along the Y-axis. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of, let's see, we're going to select these vertices here, make sure you're still in X-ray mode, hit G, X-axis, bring them down. Select these here. G, x-axis. And then we're going to select these, make sure, just so everything's staying lined up. Select these down here. Hit G, x-axis. Tweak these a bit. Okay. Okay, make sure faces mode. Okay, we're going to select these faces here and here. And I'll tell you what we need to do is, actually, yeah, what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to hit E extrude and just bring this down a bit. And that's where our R2 unit's going to sit. We're not going to build a full R2 unit. That would be a whole tutorial in itself. It's actually going to be a very simplified one. As you can see, we have some overlapping faces here. We're just going to select these. We're going to delete them. And so that's where our R2 unit will sit. And so let's see. Let's go ahead. Let's make a cylinder. We're going to hit Shift A, go to Mesh. Make sure everything's deselected, or make sure you're not in edit mode. Hit Shift A, Mesh, UV Sphere. And I'll tell you what, let's do 16 segments by 8 rings. And let's look down our Z-axis. We're going to S to scale. Let's see. Let's go into wireframe mode just so we can see better. So, okay, we got this sphere here. We're going to hit G, move it along the Y-axis. Line up here as best we can. Just kind of hitting G and hitting Y to move along the Y-axis. We're going to scale this up to where it fits just within this little circle here we have here. Click out. Alt Z. Let's go back into solid mode. Hit G. Move our little sphere up along the Z-axis. Let's just move it just outside of the ship. And then we're going to look down our Y-axis, hit Tab to go in edit mode, Alt-C to go into X-ray mode. Select all these faces here. Make sure you're in faces mode by hitting 3. Delete those faces. E to go to edge mode. Select these bottom edges. E to extrude. Z-axis. Just bring it down a bit. Okay. Hit F, and that fills in this little hole right here. And just for humor, we're going to go to faces mode, X-ray mode. Whoops, I forgot we need to split this. Select these two vertices here, split down the middle, because we're going to do another mirror modifier. Hit 3, go to faces mode, delete those faces there. Add modifier, mirror, turn on clipping, and then we're going to hit Tab to go into edit mode. We're going to hit Control R, bring this up, and then we go to 1 to go to vertices mode. We're going to select this vertex, deselect this vertex right here, hit G, Z-axis. We're going to hit 3, go to faces mode. We're going to hit E to extrude, X-axis. Look down our Alt-Z so we can see everything. S to scale, X-axis, 0. Hit G, bring these out. And that's our very, very basic R2 unit. I'll tell you what, we're going to hit Tab to go back in edit mode, Alt-Z. Make sure we just select this face right here. Actually, let's select both these faces here. And then we're going to do Shift D, hit Escape, hit P to separate. Okay, so we have this section here. Make sure you didn't delete the original geometry on the R2 unit. And what we're going to do is just hit G, bring this out just a little bit away from the unit. We're going to Tab to go in edit mode. We're going to hit Control R, split that there, split that. Hit Control R, bring this over. 3, go to faces mode. Select these faces here. Delete. And we're going to select these faces, E to extrude, Y-axis. Just let that run inside the R2 unit. And then we're going to select these faces here. Actually, no, what we're going to do real quick is we're going to hit 1. Go to vertices mode, select these two vertices, hit J to split. and hit J to split these two as well. You just select these two vertices, hit J, it splits them across, and same thing here. Now what we're going to do is just do your best circle. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit Control. We're going to hit K to make a cut. We're just going to cut a nice little circle out. Just do as best you can. Okay, so we have a nice little circle there. Hit 3 to go to Faces mode. Hit Extrude as to scale. Hit G, move along the X-axis. Okay, so you have an R2 unit with kind of a little inset eye. We can make it more inset if we want to. Hit G, Y-axis, just bring it a bit more. Okay, we're going to select that, and we're going to make it R2 unit. This right here, we're just going to name it R2I. Of course, we're going to take that I and then select the R2 unit. We're going to hit Control P, parent it to that object. Then we're just going to select our R2 unit and hit G, bring it down, and we have our R2 unit on our X-Wing. Oh, I forgot. We have one little detail we need to add. This is another part that's going to be a little tricky. Let's look down our Z-axis. This is one last detail we need on the fuselage. Let's turn our bottom view on and our top side off. Hit Alt Z, and we're going to hide some geometry just so we can see what we're doing. So what we're going to do is make sure, yeah, we're in Faces mode. Look down the X-axis. Hit 3. Select these faces here. Hide. And you know, we're going to go ahead and hide our R2 unit as well. Now let's look down our Z-axis. Actually, let's flip around. Okay, so now you can see this little kind of shape here and everything. Actually, we still have some stuff kind of interfering here. Let's see. Our R2 unit, we need to turn the eye off. And this fuselage section, we need to turn it off. Now let's look back down here. Okay, so basically what we have these two panels here on the bottom of the fuselage that we need to cut just kind of a little oval shape out. So we're going to do that really quick. Look down the Z-axis to where you can see what we're doing here. We're going to hit K, make sure you it snaps onto this line right here. Make our cuts, and to make a perfect line, we can just hit A, and it makes a snap along the Y-axis. We're going to cut there. Hit A again just to turn that off. We're going to cut here. Okay. Okay, Alt Z, back out of X-ray mode. And then we need to, let's see, we need to kind of even out some of the geometry here. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit 1 to go to vertices mode. We're going to select this vertice here and this one here. We're going to hit J to make a cut. And then we're going to select this vertice here and this one here. We're going to hit J to make another cut. And then what we're going to do is hit 3, go to Faces mode, select these two faces here. And then we're just going to hit E to Extrude on the Z-axis. And that's just basically like the little ejection port or whatever for the R2 unit to drop out the bottom of the X-Wing, I believe. It's either that or it's a storage compartment. I remember I saw R2 drop out the bottom of the X-Wing in one of the movies one time, I believe. Or was that in the prequels? Let me know in the comments. All right, so we have kind of an unnecessary face right here. So I think what we're going to do is just hit 1 to go to vertices mode. We're going to select this vertice here and this one here. And we're going to hit M to merge. And we're just going to do at last. And yeah, so let's see. We need to hit Alt H to unhide. Let's go back to our R2 unit. Make sure we turn the eye back on. Turn the R2 unit on. Turn that portion of the fuselage back on. And we have an X-Wing. Let's see, we need to define some edges here. So hit 2 to go to edges mode. Alt select. Let's go ahead and mark sharp. Go ahead and mark this top area too. sharp. And remember, it's mark sharp, not mark seam. Whenever we mark seams, that's for whenever we're defining textures and everything. So yeah, so you guys, we have a pretty nice looking X-Wing here. Hopefully you guys have been able to follow along so far. And remember, you can always go back and kind of retrace your steps. Just maybe see where maybe you maybe kind of lost me or something. But yeah, I'm just, these tutorials, I'm trying to make them short, but also trying to make them, as concise and detailed as possible without them being, 6 hours long. Okay, guys, this concludes part 2 of building the wings, engines, and laser cannons. Please join me in the next video for part 3, where we will add textures and bring the ship to life. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell to be notified when new content is delivered by the Imagination. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.